Well, let's officially call the meeting to order, and then Robin, who's been behind the scenes over here trying to get the view working with Todd there. I'm gonna ask Robin to, just verify and call out our roster here.
Okay, I'm just gonna go down our list. John Doddridge,
Here,
Matt Montgomery,
Here.
Dolly Holland,
Here.
Micah Drake,
Here.
Roxana Miracle,
Here.
Daniel King,
Here.
Stacy Thurman.
Here.
That's two. Debbie Link,
Here.
Donna Angel,
Here.
Darlene Thomas,
Here.
Christian Wellman,
Here.
Aaron Tipton,
Here.
Kim Hatcher,
Here.
Connie Schnell,
Here.
Paula Nolan,
Here.
Gary Allen,
Here.
Sheena Link,
Here.
Tiffany Reeves,
Here.
Stacy May,
Here.
Paula Mosley,
Here.
Kevin Moore,
Here.
Hannah Gregory,
Here.
Rachel Adams,
Here.
Michael Bushman,
Here.
Sarah Dodecki, sorry.
Here.
Todd Blanton,
Here.
Jennifer Hayes,
Here.
Robert Boone,
Here.
Cynthia Brown.
Left again, yeah.
And, okay.
Here.
Sorry. Is there anyone whose name I did not call? Okay, we're good. We have four.
we have forum. Thank you all for being here. I do know we got a couple of new names that you guys have heard. And just for time constraints today, we want to wait until we have our next meeting in June. We want those new members to kind of put you on the spot and tell us about yourselves and your background. We'll do that in June at our next officially scheduled meeting. But I appreciate you being here. With that, we got a couple action items to talk about that we need to, officially walk through and have some votes on. We got the first one up is the local plan, and I think that ties directly into the regional plan. And this is something we've already talked about. We gave action items in our last official meeting to put Tiffany on and the staff on the spot to walk that through. So if you will talk about that for us.
Okay. During the March full board meeting, you all voted to authorize me to submit the local and regional plans to the BGWIB for review, contingent that there were no major concerns being raised during the 30-day public comment and the virtual town hall meeting. There was no significant comments were received or anything. So we're good. The upcoming vote would be for a final approval of the plans.
Anybody got questions about the local or regional plan? And we'll probably do two different votes on that. So the local plan on the table for anybody that's got questions about it. I know there was emails that had that information for everybody to review. Anybody got concerns or comments to add to that?
Tiffany, could you share with us how the town hall meeting went, how that was set up and perceived?
Yes, Stacy, I'm gonna have you with me too on this one to make sure that I get it all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stacy, we sent out, blasted out on all our social media. There was a link provided, me and Rolly, because Rolly's the business services manager. We were on there. It's recorded. Stacy was on that as well. No one came on. What am I missing, Stacy?
No, that's everything. We're required to do some sort of public comment. Well, during the public comment period, it was just a virtual town hall that allowed the public or local organizations or municipalities to come in and ask questions regarding the regional plan. And as Tiff said, nobody showed up for it. So yeah, so I guess that's no news is good news.
Very
So
good.
we're good there.
Thank you.
Anyone else comments or questions?
John, I
Steve.
make a motion to approve the local plan.
You knew where I
Stolly.
was going. Thank you, Dolly. Looking for a second to make that, local.
My
plan
second.
official. Christian, thank you. All in favor, say aye and wave your hand if you're visual. That's.
Aye.
that works. Thank you, thank you. So that motion moves forward, approval of local plan. Now, the regional plan is the next one, which they kind of tie together. So, talk to us about the regional plan.
With the regional plan, as far as our region, it is Lincoln Trail in northern Kentucky. And on that one, it was just, which you all received a copy of it as well, it's just coming together how we're gonna partner. Also, there was 30-day comment period for it. There was a town hall in which, Corey Einer from Northern Kentucky and Beth Roberts from Lincoln Trail that we all sat on, and nobody hopped on it either.
Any comments or questions?
I do want to add, that if you don't mind, Robin did catch a typo in the regional plan. Tiff has submitted to have that correction made. And other than that, I don't believe we had any other feedback regarding the regional plan.
Was it just a typo?
It's a last name.
Oh,
It's a last name,
Okay.
Billy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Sometimes typos are impactful, but the
Yeah.
last name spelling is not impactful.
and they spelled Mayor Gordon's last name with a D instead of a T.
Oh, yeah.
So that was it.
Okay. Comments, questions? Not, we'll look for a motion to approve that.
I will
John?
make the motion to approve the regional plan as
Okay, we got-
presented.
Thank you,
I'll
Donna. And-
second.
All right, we had a couple seconds. We'll take Aaron's. So and Dolly was there too, so she's third. And all in favor? Aye. Or wave your
Aye.
hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much. That moves forward so we can move on to our next one, which is our designation of a direct service provider. And that was one we put together a committee, which incorporated Matt and Judge Bottoms and myself. And that was a large undertaking for us to kind of review and put together. We had a good meeting Wednesday that we consolidated our findings on that. Matt, would you like to add any conversation about what we found before?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's like 400 pages of documents to kind of read through and look at. And what we talked about as a group, I think, was trying to figure out, is there something that we don't have today that we really, really want? And because it was the finalist was essentially the incumbent, and then a new provider that is also covering other areas of Kentucky, just has never covered this area, right? So we went through a lot of the scope conversation and the ways that they were going to approach staffing and looking at that. And I think a philosophy that Judge Bottoms, John and I kind of had was, what would be the compelling reason to change? Is there a significant cost difference as we look at this? Is there some other driver of additional services? Is there something else? Because we recognize that a lot of what's been done in this area is a lot about relationships, right? I mean, it's knowing being able to navigate all of the different partners and entities that we have to work with, knowing them in this 17 county area, right, is really important. And we don't want to lose momentum. There was a lot, I mean, I know, to quote Judge Bottoms, it's one of those, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right, as we started to look at this. So, as we went and we went through the evaluation and all the things that were there, John had put together a great spreadsheet to kind of show a cost comparison of where we were. But to switch to a different provider would be more expensive over time. And we know that there would be a transition period for that. Now, we did look at things like how would staff move over and everything else, and where different things were looking. But at the end, I mean, I think the recommendation came down to kind of continue the course we're on with the partner that we have. That made the most sense. And then separately, if you start to look at how that partner has worked with us, as we had, the sort of like some challenging times a couple of years ago, right? And we look into the future where, in the new presidential administration, right, there's some uncertainty as to how much things will get funded here and there. That you want a partner that's going to be with you through this, and it's not going to come down to the legalese, right? Because we don't know each other. So that became sort of our recommendation, was to looking at that proposal and staying the course. But John, does that summarize things?
Yes, it does. And I do want to, commend, both parties for putting together, really good proposals. And that's, the conversation we had was, both would be a good service provider for sure, but
Right.
then we come down to, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And then if we're looking for a, good outcome, I think both providers could, but we got, a good service with what we've got going. And again, the cost was a difference over time. So with that, obviously, I think you guys are hearing that, Judge Bottoms, Matt Montgomery, myself, we came up to the unanimous choice to keep Equus as the chosen provider. With that, Tiffany, do you have anything to add to that conversation?
Mhm.
Does anybody have questions about this choice, or, and it was a lot, so we don't want to
Yeah.
go bore you with all the details.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, when you were saying the cost was so much more, were they, apples to apples? Were they adding more individuals to
There
your
was,
staff?
there was like one more staff, and then what I looked at is what the outcome was versus the cost, and the cost was high, for the one we did not choose.
Yeah, but I think it was like 18 and a quarter versus like 16 and 0.75 or something like that. It was really close in terms of staffing when we did look at that. It wasn't, that significantly different.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else got questions or comments, or mainly probably questions, right?
And John, I
Yeah.
just want to thank you all, the committee, for reviewing that information. I know it was a lot, so thank you all for your time and dedication.
Yeah, it was like going back to school and you were behind on an assignment and in trouble because, you had to come up with an answer. So, yeah, it was a lot,
Yeah.
but I do want to appreciate the two providers who provided that information.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when you looked at things like how they approached disallowed costs, how they had, I mean, like all the things you needed around certificates of insurance or validation of this and validation of that. I mean, like all the boxes were checked as we went through this, that we would not have made a bad choice. It's just, I think we're trying to make a better choice for us.
Yeah.
John, Matt, are we guaranteed pretty much the same cost factor for going through several years, or are we just looking, how long would this be? Is it an annual renewal on Equus or longer?
I'm
To
gonna
use
have
their
to-
service?
It's reviewed annually,
Okay,
I
thank
believe.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't it, Tiff?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, and all the performance metrics are annual. Yeah, right.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, I'll be looking for a motion to approve our choice for the designated direct service provider being Equus at this time.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you,
I
Micah.
second. I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Who was that? that did
Aye.
that? Bonnie.
Tommy. Thank you. And that moves forward. Our next one is the one-stop operator. And,
The proposals are connected.
yeah, that's what I was thinking, it's the same. Yeah.
It is, so you have to do separate votes.
Okay, so that was direct service provider, which we're keeping the same, and the one-stop operator, which goes hand in hand with what we just chose. Look for a motion to approve the one-stop operator as well.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Don.
I'll second that, John.
And Dolly second that, and I think we had
Debbie.
Debbie jumping in at the same time, so. Yeah, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Now, with all that being said, we've got our memorandum of understanding for the infrastructure funding agreement, and I'm gonna ask Tiffany to jump in and describe what's going on with that and how that goes.
Okay, so the MOU, including the IFA agreement, the agreements define the roles and responsibilities of all the required partners in the operations and management of the one-stop career centers. So in accordance with WIOA law, the one-stop operator is responsible for managing all that. So what I'm gonna do is if you all have any questions, it's going to go to Todd. While I'm in the midst of it, I'm telling you, he will be able to answer your questions better than I can. And Ben, if you have questions on the IFA, which is the funding cost and the reconciliation process and all that stuff, Michael Bushman's on this as well.
And this is just for our, operating procedures and all that,
Yes,
so.
yeah. It's an agreement like how all the partners are coming together and what our part is to pay. Todd, jump in here if I get it wrong. Jump on in.
Go ahead. So basically, John, I think it's 3 years, 5 years, 4 years, we have to do this MOU and IFA. It basically outlines all the required partners, under WIOA, how they're operating within the career center, whether they're here in person, whether they're here part-time, whether they're connected electronically, all those types of things. And then the IFA part of it is the shared cost of each agency for us to operate the center.
Right.
What are those shared costs and how do we divvy those up amongst all the partners? So for the partners that are located here every day, those are pretty much already split up in general. But our external partners who are connected, we had several different cost allocation methods. You could use full-time employees, you could use number of participants served or square footage. We broke that down by square footage here. So Michael got budgets from the state on what they spend. We know what we spend internally here through the ad. And so all of those things are divvied up and reconciled quarterly to make sure that we're sharing in the cost of operating the center accordingly amongst all partners.
Basically just rent.
Basically.
Yep,
Just rent.
yep.
See if I got questions for Todd or anyone else. Yeah. Todd?
Yeah.
Anybody got questions for Todd? If not, we'll look for a motion to approve the MOU and IFA as in your packet, as shown, right?
So moved, John.
Thank you, Danny. Second?
I'll second.
Matt, thank you, sir. And then all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
What this does for us is that completes our action items of the day. And that lets everybody have a great weekend, I believe. Matt, you know what I'm gonna ask?
Is there, I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you
Took me a
all,
second,
thank you
sorry.
all, and I'll see you in June. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.